Welcome to the Ant Antics podcast, the place where tiny worlds meet big ideas. I'm Richard, and I'm joined with my co-hosts Sam and Sadie. Together, we'll be diving into the world of ant keeping, from behind the scenes at Ant Antics to exciting developments in the hobby. Whether you're a seasoned ant keeper or just starting out, we've got plenty to share. So grab a cuppa, settle in, and let's talk about ants.
Welcome to the Ant Antics podcast, the place where tiny worlds come alive. Welcome to the Ant Antics podcast, place where tiny worlds come alive.
In this episode, our first episode, we're going to talk about the launch of the podcast, what's happening in the world of ant keeping in 2025, as well as updates on Ant Antics, AntCon, and the future, how we see this hobby. So, to introduce you to us as your hosts, my name's Rich. I try and be the boss here at Ant Antics, and I got into ant keeping like any child that used to like to watch black ants and red ants fight in the garden. Later in life, I decided I was going to keep my own, and it led to the beginning of Ant Antics as we know it today. What about you, Sam?
Well, mine was Ants Canada. That's what got me into it. I saw a video, and I was like, this is amazing. And it led from there. And like any kid, it's a case of you watch one video, and then there's another one, and it goes down a whole spiral. You start to actually learn about them, and as soon as you start learning, you realise why they're so interesting. And that kind of just opened everything up then. And then I started researching UK shops and where I could get these things and everything in between.
And then he pestered me until I gave him a job.
Well, that's a whole different story, isn't it?
Sadie, your turn.
Same with me. It was definitely Ants Canada. It wasn't because I was interested in ants or anything like that. I was in bed watching TV and the remote control was too far away.
No.
So that's how I started.
And it was a suggested video.
Yeah, and it just, because you watch one, then that just comes up on your feed, so you watch more and more and more.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that's how I first got into ants.
The algorithm got you into ant keeping.
And then I went out into the garden and picked one worker ant and had that for months until it died. And then I just needed to replace it.
And what do you do here, Sadie? What's your job?
I'm the sane one of the...
Here we go. This description could be quite long if you're asking Sadie. Go for it.
I'm the sane one. I'm the organised one.
Yeah.
I look after all the ants and all the stock colonies. I pester you lot into doing things.
Sadie is very good at that.
And I'll message you. It doesn't matter if it's 10 o'clock at night. If I want to know something, like I'm finding out there and then.
Yes.
And I'm really good at doing all the tidying up.
And employee of the month for how many months on a trot?
Every single month.
Every single month. Since she started working here, just to add.
So by the book, Sadie is the husbandry manager. Sam, what do you do here?
So I'm the customer manager here. I kind of just oversee making sure all the orders are packed, answering emails, the phone calls, make sure all the customers are happy, and a few other bits in between, but primarily my focus is that last line of defence, making sure that we're sending out the best quality stock possible.
And of course, you also manage the incoming stock, produce the care guides, find out the temperature requirements and things. You do a lot more than just manage customers, Sam.
I'd like to say so. It's like it's easier, isn't it? If I go, I make sure all the customers are happy, and then the other bits are behind the scenes, I think.
The other bits are what you need to do to make them happy.
Correct.
And who isn't here with us today? Today we don't have Matt. Matt deals with the... what does Matt do?
Very little.
He threads the products. He does a bit of production stuff. And we have an army of helpers that are here right now as well, who are sent over from the college to learn how to keep animals. So I think that sums up the introductions quite well of who we are and what we do. Moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about what's new at Ant Antics for 2025. What's happening with our products, what's happening with our conservation product, and spill the beans on anything else that might be happening at the same time. So as far as products go, do we have anything new?
We do, but I don't think you're going to want us telling exactly what it is, but there are some good surprises coming out this year. And it's part of the reason why I'm not showing a lot of my content and colonies online, because they're in testing the products. and the amount of testing that we do for the products is insane. And I think so many people are going to be so excited with what we're releasing this year.
I agree with that.
And of course, we've got some microspecies in testing in the products we have now. We've tweaked them, we've made them a little bit better, and we've even got diverser sitting in some of our outworlds unable to escape, which is a good achievement, I think. One of the main things we're obviously launching this year is a focus on adaptability. So all of our products will have more than one function that can be added to anything that you already own, especially outworld based. And it'll mean you can utilize your outworlds for other species and different kinds of nesting. So I know this is very vague, but the releases will be happening at AntCon, and it's something we can all look forward to having in our lives? Collections. Yeah. Because people are going to know this is unscripted for the most part.
100%.
So let's have a look then. Let's update everyone about our conservation project. Where are we at with that? What's happening with the project so far, Sam?
Well, the colonies are currently in hibernation, or diapause. So they've been in since November, and at the minute they're going to slowly start to wake up soon. I'm excited for that. So a lot of them now have biological workers that they had before diapause. So we know that this is about time that's going to happen, because our display colony that we've currently got downstairs, they're showing signs of waking up, a lot more activity, and they're out foraging as well.
And of course with Wendy as well, we've been discussing on the places that they're going to be released. We've had lots of interest in the project and in Formica rufa in general from members of the public. We've had a film crew here doing some work with us for something they're releasing soon. And of course, as well as that, we've got the funding applications going into the government to try and aid the production of the colonies and where we're going to release them. Overall, it seems like a lot of people are taking interest in this. The Antkeeper magazine emailed us the other day asking for us to be a part of a feature for it. And conservation is going to be our goal for this year. That and the Colonies for Schools scheme that we do. Currently, our customers, you listeners, you're funding for that to happen. £150 per year per school for kids to learn about ant keeping and how important keystone species are for the environment. Naturally, it's expensive to do that, and we intend on visiting shows and things this year, not to make money, but to raise money for our conservation efforts, going as a conservation body instead of a store. And I think that's really exciting for us to get to know our customers and members of the public and show them the work we're doing with the Wood Ant Conservation Project. And if you feel like you would like to make a donation towards the project to help us keep this going and to raise awareness for ants across schools throughout the United Kingdom, then please feel free to go onto the website antantics.wales, and you're perfectly able to donate us there any amount that you feel our work is worth. Now let's move on to the thing that everybody is excited to hear about, AntCon 2025. Sadie, how is it going to be different this year from the last years?
Well, we've got a lot more people coming this year.
Double?
Yeah, and it'll be nice seeing a lot of people that are returning and a lot of new faces. There'll be some nutters there that I'm looking forward to see again. They know who they are.
You can't name them.
Well, the biggest nutter in it is PJ Ants.
In an ant costume.
Yeah.
Notice how I was quiet.
Well, we all knew who the biggest nutter was.
Yeah.
So it's going to be different. It's going to be bigger. Obviously, we're going to have more activities and more little surprises. Sadie, will you be doing your games again this year?
Yeah, and I think Nell is also going to be on games as well this year. Richard's mum.
What a brilliant combo.
Yeah, oh, I love her. But it's been surprising hearing the feedback from customers and what they're looking forward to. And it's like so many people have said, oh, we're going to have the Snaps Factory again this year. We're going to have this again this year. So you can see like the different groups of people and what they want to do here.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm really excited. And I've done different things each year. So I don't know whether I want to stick with the games, which I really love, or do I want to go on something else. So I've done Snaps Factory one year. Then I did the games. What am I going to do?
What's going to be your signature thing for 2025?
I don't know. My favorite part is just talking to everyone. That's my how community spirited it is my favorite thing about AntCon. It really does feel like family all coming to visit, and it doesn't matter if you've never met them before. You've bound to have spoke to them online, or even if you haven't. Everyone just feels like a friendly face. It's just a friend you haven't met yet.
Yeah, it really does. It is coming home, and that's what AntCon's about. It's about bringing our customers together and developing the community. And I love AntCon morning, seeing the queue, where as a team we go out there with all of the scanners and we bring people in. It's my favourite bit. You're usually on the door welcoming people then too, aren't you, Sadie?
Yeah, I thought your favourite bit would have been the weeks before.
No.
Yeah, we're not even thinking about those.
The weeks before give me nothing but grey hair. Sam, what are you most excited for about AntCon 2025?
So I don't know if most excited for, but what I enjoy the most. So sort of the same thing. But again, it's very much putting faces to names, because I spend so much time emailing our customers, and a lot of them are friends and customers at this point, isn't it? They go hand in hand sometimes. But it's a case of I spend so much time emailing, so much time on the phone with a lot of these people, and then it's a case of seeing them actually in person. It's like you're a human as well, right? And that's very nice. And
how many times at AntCon do you think to yourself, you look like nothing like I thought you would?
Well, that's the thing. The amount of conversation we have, they go, "You're Sam, right?" And you go, "I'm so and so." And I go, "It makes so much sense now." But it's creating those links and actually seeing everybody in the flesh is nice.
So for our lineup, what who have we got coming? Let's have a think here. So we have the butterfly people potentially coming back. Obviously the invite is out with Slug Disco again to come and do some meet and greets now that the game is live and it's out there. We have the guy, you'll remember his name. Potentially he wants to come, the guy that likes to get stung by stuff.
Pat.
Yeah. He goes around the world being stung by things.
He was the first Westerner to get stung by, or not stung, even go through the ritual of the bullet ants in the tribes. But he was the first Westerner to do that.
I really hope we can make that happen for him. Of course, we've got Dr. Wendy. A lot of people get really excited to hear her talk and what she's going to be talking about this year. Professor Rich is back with his VR this year, which he wasn't last year, was he?
No, and people missed that.
Yeah,
and we're looking forward to that. So nice
yeah, he will be back with that. We've got Tim from Reptile Residence.
Yeah.
He's coming with a selection of reptiles and some goodies that people can hopefully buy on the day as well.
Yeah.
And I believe if anyone needs live food and things, Tim's going to deal with that.
Yeah, you can supply
So yeah, we've got a lot happening, and of course, and I'm going to say this publicly so he can't back out, we've got Ryan returning for 2025. That's probably some of the most exciting news, that the official Antscape competition will be running once again.
Yes.
I'm excited for that. Are you, Sadie?
No. Sod Ryan. No, only joking. Yeah, I love Ryan. I can't wait for him to come back.
It's impossible to not like Ryan, I think.
It is impossible not to like Ryan. So we are, of course, taking a few helpers on the day. I think we're pretty much full for Saturday. Full for Sunday helpers, just not the Saturday helpers. If anyone wants to help, then you can email us. The information is on the AntCon pages of the website, and we will be taking volunteers wherever we can, because it is a lot of work on the day and a lot of running around for us to be able to deliver it. So I think that pretty much sums up all we're willing to disclose right now for AntCon.
Got to keep some surprises, haven't we?
The surprise will be there'll be nothing there.
No, I'm looking forward to the escape treasure hunt sort of thing, yeah.
We haven't mentioned that yet. So Ebba, who runs the escape room, she is crafting a round the town puzzle that's Ant themed, AntCon related, and is going to be an active escape game experience but on the streets. And if you solve it, there's some prizes at the end. There's gift vouchers and various other things that are going to be out there in concealed locations. And if you can solve all of the puzzles, you can find them for yourself. I think that's going to be awesome.
I'm quite excited to see everybody stumbling around Ancon night, not sober at all, trying to do this. Because that would be great amusement to watch.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Trying to find it the night of
I'm
Ancon.
walking home and I see everybody, go and read.
And of course, I think the
Creeping around bushes.
yeah, I can see it now.
how many arrests have we got in David Powys? So I think the hardest thing we're going to have to deliver this year, which we're perfectly capable of doing, is because it's a rinse and repeat. So on the Saturday and Sunday, they're different customers.
Yes.
So we have to deliver a Saturday experience for everybody who comes on the Sunday ticket. And that means that we have to be good children Saturday night.
Yeah.
Because we have to be here early to deliver Ancon all over again. You know when they say, I wish Christmas was every day? Well, Ancon is 2 days for us. And we're either going to love it or we're going to fall asleep.
And it's the exact same experience for both days, isn't it? So
Yeah,
everything's
exactly
going to be
the
the same and
Yeah.
you just got to be awake.
Sunday visitors are not going to notice anything different to the Saturday visitors. And that's one thing I'm really excited about this year, is doubling the capacity without the need to double the size of the building.
Yeah, and some people are such Ancon addicts, they've bought tickets for both days.
Have they?
Yeah, there's a few people
Really?
coming on both days.
What, even though they're the same?
And I told them it's the exact same on both days. They were like, I don't care, I don't want to miss out. And I'm like, but you're missing out on the same thing that you've just experienced. And they were
This
like, I don't
comes
care.
back to what I
I
said.
love
Sorry, I
that.
interrupted. This comes back to what I said about the friends and the customers. They sort of merge into one over time, isn't it? So people just want to hang out on that second day and be around like-minded people and just be around.
Yeah, people who
be
come
around
to
the store.
Ancon, they're not customers anymore. They're a part of us, and they are Ant Antics. That's what makes it, isn't
It's
it?
especially nice seeing the founders keep coming back. Like the first year people,
Yeah.
and you're seeing them year and year and year again. That's my favourite part. I changed my mind from what I said before. My favourite part is seeing the faces come back.
A funny story, Rich, you said the other day, so you dropped a Conley off to Doz. And I can say this, but your reaction
Yes,
when
I
you
did.
came back, you went, he's grown up.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Do you remember Doz from year one?
Yeah.
He was this little kid, wasn't he, with his mum, and they were spending money. I don't know how old he was, 13 back then?
Something around there, yeah.
And I met him after collecting the ants from customs, drove round to the train station where I'd arranged to meet him, and I double took. And I walked up to him and he turned around so happy to see me, because I don't age that much.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
right.
up for debate, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, in comparison to what a child does.
Yeah.
And he's taller than me. He's huge. And it's like, geez, this little kid has grown up, you feel kind of responsible in a way, don't you? Because you've known them through their life.
Well, some of the founders that started were shorter than me, and now they like tower over me.
Yeah.
It's like so weird. Especially now you can drink with them in the pub and you're like,
Yeah,
I knew you when you had to come with your mum.
Yeah, you weren't allowed in here
Yeah.
before.
I think so much has happened, you forget how many years it's actually been since the first one, you know what I mean? And a lot has changed since the first one.
Yeah. Well, the first one was 65 people.
Yeah.
65 people. The escape room wasn't converted, and we were clueless, really.
We had a vision, but we didn't know if it was going to work. I think that's the best way to put it, isn't it? And we were like,
Yeah.
do you know what? Let's go for it. What's the worst that can happen? And
Yeah,
then-
absolutely.
But it's like a beacon for all the ant keepers now.
Yes, it can be the beacon. Yeah, that's a good analogy for AntCon. So to finish up on AntCon, Sam, there's something that you're dying to tell everyone, and that is 2 or 3 of the juicy species we're going to be stocking at AntCon 2025 that people can claim their AntCon discount of 25% off.
Do you know what? I'm not going to say the exact species, but I'm going to go. This is where Richard's going boring. We'll
People
get
want
there.
spoilers.
Yeah,
Sam.
I know they want spoilers, but I can let them guess. But some really, really nice things from Asia, hopefully. Things that we haven't got live on the website currently when this goes live. And then hopefully, again, we can never promise, but South American species which haven't been sold before either.
No names.
Right, name 2 Asian species that are going to be here that people will be happy to see. Go.
We are hoping for Colobopsis explodens to be available, which
Nice.
are a very nice species, and possibly along the lines of Polyrachis bihomata, and then, if we can, our Dynamomex gigas.
Awesome. I think that is enough to really...
Is that enough of a spoiler? Is that...
Yeah, I'd say that's a spoiler, because some of those things may or may not be in the building right now that we're keeping...
Stop.
Okay, I'll stop. Okay, that's enough for AntCon 2025. So, talking about the ants coming to AntCon 2025, I think this is a good time to talk about what we currently have and new things to the store. Things that have just arrived in my very eventful drive to the collection centre yesterday.
Do you want to tell them what happened? Because you blame me.
No, because I don't want to. I'm in a good mood, and I don't want to get angry thinking
about the
about
car?
it.
It's about that. You've got to say a little bit about the car.
I've just bought a new car. I've owned it less than a week, and a lorry nearly ran me off the road going down to get the ants, and I've curbed 2 of the wheels.
To which, by the way, there's no evidence of this because you have no dash cam, correct?
Correct.
So we're believing the story.
Well, I wasn't drunk driving or anything.
Oh
was
yes,
I?
we know, but it was a case of his face when he returned, and then actually no. I saw a picture of this. You were so upset that you sent me a picture of your alloys before you got back, and then I saw them, and then on the way out you ripped your coat. So it was a horrendous day. I'm going off topic. Carry on.
Yesterday was a horrible day, but there was some good things to come from it, and that was the delivery of ants. Sam, what did we have yesterday?
Right, this is going to test my brain now. So yesterday we had some colonies of Fidoliensis. We got some explodens, Colobopsis explodens, some Polyrachis bihomata, commonly known as the fishhook ants.
And I think it's important to say for both of those species, we're not going to see them on the store for at least 6 weeks.
Yeah.
We're learning how to raise them, producing comprehensive care guides, and we are not releasing a single one until we're 100% happy that we've seen an egg go from egg all the way to worker.
Yeah, species like that is that we just want to make 100% sure they go through all our checks here. And as also you mentioned the care guides, species that there's very little information on in captivity even. We want to work it out ourselves, right? Before,
Absolutely.
How can we sell something to a customer when we don't know? So we'll go through, we'll find out, what's the temperature range, what are they happy, and all these little, tips and tricks with this species we'll go through ourselves, and then we're happy selling them to customers then.
Likely, I would say collection only on those 2.
Yes, especially
Possibly.
That's strongly with the explodens, purely because it's in the name. They have a habit of just rupturing their gasters and exploding.
What else did we have? What might interest people to see?
What Fidoliensis I said. So we got a few colonies of larger Fidolian as well, which are really, really nice. We've got some Asian turtle ants, which are very, very cute. And they're a nice alternative to extremely expensive cephalote species. We've got some Pseudolaceusin, which again are a kind of a cuter version, bright yellow, really vibrant colours.
A cuter version of what, Sam?
Good point. Of a lot of the Lasius species we have in the UK.
Okay,
so
brilliant.
People hear Lasius and they go, oh yeah, we've got Lasius, but these are a very pretty Lasius. And the Asian alternative. And there's a few things off the top of my head I'm going to have to double check. But we've got a few other things as well that haven't made their way onto the website yet.
Lovely. And what do we have in the vivariums right now that's either in really low stock or the demand is too high right now? We want to let people know if there's anything running out, that if they're considering buying it, that now really is the time to do that.
So I can say what's selling fast, and that is Carabara diversa. They are proving extremely popular.
Have you seen the colonies, though?
Yeah, and that's why I think it's as soon as I started posting on the Instagram and the socials and letting people know of, look, these are what our diverse colonies look like, people were just like, right, we've got to get in on this. And then the first wave went out and people started seeing the quality.
The vivarium's about half full from what it was just a few days ago. I was shocked when I fed them earlier.
Well, since yesterday, so we haven't been able to ship for a few weeks because of the cold, but everybody got their first wave that had ordered diversa, and they've obviously shown people, they've told their friends, they've told everybody, and we've had like 3 full sales today already, so they're proving popular.
And of course we're doing it different this year with this diversa. We're only selling them as multi-queen options. The redundancy, we've discovered in our raising them is so important. When there's more than one queen, having that redundancy if something happens to one of the queens, especially with a species like Diversa, is so important to their growth.
100%.
And they also need the extra brood from an extra queen to be able to replace workers fast enough, because the workers have such a short life. So we've changed it up. We're only doing them as 2 queen colonies, or 3 queen colonies this year, because we think that's the bare minimum to sustain a healthy colony.
This is also, it's worth a mention, the locality is a highly polygynous one, so it's a case of they're not going to kill queens later on. Some localities of Diversa can do that, but these are going to be completely happy as 2 to 3 queens.
Awesome. So we've had Sam talk about the ants and some nice things we have, and I think one of the important things to consider here is how we care for them. We like to consider ourselves as doing something different at Ant Antics, and really this is Sadie's remit. Sadie's job is to provide healthy colonies to the best standard out there so that you customers can enjoy them. And Sadie, I'd like for you to just walk us through your day. Tell us what you do to keep the colonies in the condition that customers can expect them.
I think the most important thing when it comes to ant keeping is watching the ants' behaviour. They can't talk to us, they can't tell us what they want or what they need, but they will show you. So It's like when Sam was saying earlier, or Rich was saying about we're not selling these new ants that have come in for several weeks. It's because we want to see what they prefer, and they're the ones that are going to tell us what they need. It's not, you can look it up in a book and you'll get 20 different answers and 20 different opinions, but when you do it yourself and you're actually looking and seeing what they prefer, where they're happiest, how much they want to eat, what food they prefer, I think it makes such a big difference. And I think it's something I'm most proud of what we do at Ant Antics is the amount of time and attention and details we put into actually caring for the species.
We really do, and I think it shows. I think it really shows. When customers are so happy, they're going out of their way to thank us for colonies. And Sadie, you're our unsung hero for this, because that brood is because of the care and love that you give to those ants, that observation. And I think it's really important moving forward that we keep that going.
Yeah. No, I was joking.
Cool story, bro.
No, but I also think, because I don't know as much about the origins of the ants and all the details and how to pronounce the ants and things like that. So I'm learning so much on the job. But looking after the ants is the one thing I'm actually good at, because I will just sit there and watch ants for hours and hours like a crazy cat lady, but ant lady. And then I'll learn all this stuff. And then if ever I'm not sure about something, Sam will sort of give me like a brief bracket of what
where they would be in the wild. Yeah.
And then it's sort of easier to fill in the blanks. And I think that's why we all work so well together.
I'll add to that, because I've never, and it's not just bigging Sadie up, but I've never...
No, you can big me up.
Okay, right. I'll get ready.
Employee of the Year 2024.
14 months in a row, isn't it?
Yeah.
13? Yeah. But no, on a serious note, I've never met somebody so good at caring for ants, even if she doesn't know exactly what they are. And I think that's fair to say. And it's a case of, I don't know how she does it. I guess it's you just watch.
I think credit where credit's due.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Sadie knows a lot more about the ants than she gives herself credit for, and you're much more valued than I think you realise for the work you do.
As long as you don't ask me how to pronounce their names, then I'm totally fine.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah,
that's fine.
But yeah, that's the hard part. When people want to talk to me and say, "Oh, do you know this species?" and I'm like, "I'm not saying that." I made a big mess up in front of the customer the other day when we had...
that was an interesting one.
Yeah, can't repeat that one. But I totally said the name wrong and it sounded like something totally inappropriate. And I thought, I'm never saying that name again.
Would you like to say the correct pronunciation?
No, because it'll be obvious. It'll be so obvious what the mistake was.
We're going to go over that one. We're gonna, But it was one of those, I was walking out the door, I turned back around again. I was like, oh dear.
Did the customer know?
Yeah, well, lucky it was a concierge member, so they were a friend and things like that. So it wasn't like I'd upset or offended anyone.
You can get away a bit more with concierge. Brilliant. So this is our test run podcast. We've had a little look at AntCon 2025, some of the species we've had, we've introduced ourselves to you, and we've talked about some of the products and work that we've been doing with the community. This will obviously change as the format of the show progresses and we have guests on some of the shows. But I think we can add a little section here towards the end for community questions. And I think we can do this on every podcast we do. So we've put it out in Discord. We've asked for some questions to be answered. And I think as a round robin here, we'll start and we'll answer them one at a time.
Right, from Discord, Neil has asked, what is the best species for beginners?
The best species for beginners. I think this is very clear to us at this point, isn't it? The species we recommend for beginners, you can see them in our starter kits. They're species that tend to be very forgiving and typically native, just because temperature requirements are less demanding. So that's Eulaceus niger, Eulaceus flavus. Even Myrmica can be a good beginning species if you want something with a little sting. And if you fancy something with polymorphic abilities, with minor workers, medias and majors, different size casts of worker, then Mesa barbarus is always a sure bet. But for those, you're going to need to provide them a little bit of heat, and the side of them that's more forgiving is they're easier to care for. Just seeds.
Yeah, I also think if someone's into reptiles and then they're crossing over into ants, I think it does open up that beginner bracket a lot. Then I think they're used to heat mats, they're used to temperature control, then I think they can sort of start on the campos and things like that. It might be a bit more exciting, especially if they've already got a really hot room that might be
it would be too hot for a native species. So the beginner threshold does significantly increase in availability if you have experience with spiders, with reptiles, with anything that you're using and needing heat for. Then your beginner species can even cover Asian stuff as well, quite easily. Okay, question number 2. Let's have Sam answer this one, shall we?
This is a controversial question.
She's looking at me with a smile.
No, it's not. I wouldn't want to answer this one, but I have an opinion on it. Is it humane to limit ant colonies, for example, at 500 worker atta?
Right. So...
No, feed your ants.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. So this is the controversial thing.
Don't buy a colony if you're not prepared to deal with it when it's fully grown.
I think that basically sums up what I was about to say to you. It's one of those where...
You can slow them down, but starving them to the point where they're eating each other and not...
Yeah, so obviously that I think is completely unacceptable, because if you've purchased as... I don't know who of you guys have just said it, but it was a case of if you're purchasing a species, then you're aware of those requirements, what they'll need. So if that's they get big or if they need a lot of food, and those go hand in hand normally anyway. But those things that you normally, as any responsible pet owner, you research, because if we're talking about a dog, for example, and somebody got a working dog, a border collie, and they kept it in, a 1-bedroom apartment, everybody be up in arms. But you know what you're getting. You research that and you find the species or the breed or whatever that's most suited to you, and if it's going to work or not.
It's not a surprise, is it? The information's readily available on the site. You know how many workers that colony's going to get.
Yeah.
And if you're considering starving a colony so that it doesn't reach what it would do in the wild, then pick a different species.
And 500 for an atta, that is insanely
that's dangerously
small,
low.
That's insane.
Yeah, you're talking silly numbers.
We're not even talking restraining them to 1 million instead of 5. We're talking about 500 workers. Yeah.
I think it's also important that with any species, if you're gradually growing them and you're doing it slowly and you're not giving them loads and loads of food, that's okay, because you're not starving that colony. It's growing in proportion to what you're giving it. There's some species where you have to just keep pumping the food in, but some you can grow slowly. It's a case of if you've grown a colony too large and then you significantly drop it and you're thinking you're going to then, you want them to crash the numbers or whatever you're thinking, then that's wrong, because you've grown it to a point, it needs that food, and you can't just take that away then, because that's the inhumane bit.
I know he's asking about atta, but I've seen it with some people where it's not fungus related, where they'll just limit the protein, so they're producing less workers, but still allowing them to eat loads. I think if you're gonna do it, I don't recommend it, but if you're gonna do it, at least then they're still eating, and then
Yes.
it might slow down the
The
speed.
next generation.
Yeah. But I think still give them.
So in that case, you
Feed
wouldn't restrict sugars in any case.
No.
You would restrict protein for the next generation. I think it's important to note that we are going to have a different opinion to most. We're very ethically driven in our business and in Ant Antics as a whole, and we've got pretty similar moral standards between all of the staff, and I think that's why it works. So, we're obviously going to differ to some customers' points of view.
So I think, to conclude, then it's a case of as long as no ants are suffering,
Yes,
where it's okay. I think that's maybe a fair point to say. It's not something that we recommend doing, as we've covered, but as long as there's no suffering involved in that, then it's okay.
And if I just want to add, if your ants do get too big for you, bring them back.
Yeah, we'll take them. We'll give them a home. They'll go on display. Customers can see them and enjoy them. You don't need to do anything drastic if you can't handle the colony anymore. You just bring it to us. We'll accept a donation. Next question, Sadie.
Yeah, Alex J has just asked how to keep green weavers. They're a favourite because every single member of staff has green weavers. So,
well, I think we cracked them open, didn't we? What we've done is for the first time, green weavers are now a 90% success rate in people's homes, and it was all down to how we founded them this year. Before we started doing this, you never saw people with them, and we created the Weaver 2, and I think that is what is every single colony we have has grown in a Weaver 2. They've grown off the floor.
Yeah.
They've climbed to their tubes, and it's such a small, and they've all had substrate. And I think it's such a small difference to the lives of these ants, but it's mimicked them perfectly, wouldn't you say?
100%. And it's one of those, I know I could probably say it about a lot of things, but it's a very satisfying one, because years ago they were deemed as, you had a few private hobbyists that had successful colonies, but very few and far between. And when you crack the code for a species like that, it's extremely rewarding, because you've seen it go wrong. People try it so many times before, nobody knowing what they're doing wrong, and then you get the problem of the species gets a bad rep for being impossible. And I hear that term all the time, it's like, oh, you can't keep that, it's impossible. It's like, I don't think so. We haven't quite worked out what that is yet.
And with weavers, it was very much a case of everybody believed they needed real vegetation to live.
I heard that so many times.
And really, what it all came down to with raising them was airflow.
Yeah.
They had to be off the floor, they had to have some substrate to soak in the acid, and they had to have an open top. You take the lid off, the airflow circulates around those tubes, and that really opened up keeping this species for so many people.
Yeah.
But it took us a few queens and a few tries to get it right.
Yes. But now I'm proud to go, we can provide these healthy colonies, provide the advice, and go, look, this is what's worked, and this is why it's worked. But yeah, airflow is the main one. There's a few little, tips and tricks.
Yeah, we don't want to give all our tips and tricks away.
No.
We don't want to give all of our little secrets away.
It is one of those where they're always hungry.
Yes.
And they're always thirsty. But it's like a lot of exotic species. But you've just got to keep the food going. But as you said, the airflow is the major factor.
That's another thing we've just touched on there with ants in general is here in a store we have a feeding regime, because we can't afford to pay someone to feed the ants round the clock every single day. But when ants are in your home, you can. Yeah. You feed those ants every day, you remove the waste after 24 hours, and you put fresh in. If you're constantly giving them the option of eating so much that they're declining it, then I think that really does make a colony grow much, much faster. And with weavers in particular, they always need food on the go. You can't say, I'm going to feed them once a week or twice a week.
It will not work for those species at all.
You go home every day, Sadie, and you feed your ants every single day.
Most of them.
And this is when people, I think, have colonies struggling. I think that may be one of the main causes, is they're just not having enough.
And I think it's so easy, especially with the Messer species, to always have seeds and water in. So if you want a low maintenance species, go for something like that where you ain't got to be hands-on
every
multiple
day.
times. Yeah.
But this goes back to what we said before about researching that species and going, do you know what, if I haven't got space for 10 colonies, or I haven't got time for all these things, then
Make space.
Well, this is our mindset, right? But it's one of those of, okay, let's get something, say like a meso species or another harvester species. But if you know, hang on a minute, I've got a bit more time here, I want to set up something for something special, or I want this species, then you can do it. It's just that pre-planning that research.
Okay, should we go for another question, Sadie? We went off on a tangent there, didn't we?
Yeah, there's a few people. So we've got Kieran, Rachel, and Sam are all wanting to know more about how to avoid or control mites and other pests with ant keeping, and how to get rid of them without stressing or damaging the colony.
It's controversial, this, because
this depends which type of mite we're on about.
So with any mite, the easiest thing to do is not to get them. And the primary cause of mites on a colony is they're either there from the very beginning. Mite eggs are very small and they can hatch out in perfect conditions. In the wild, they don't take out colonies, they just deal with them naturally. But one of the main causes of mites entering people's homes is through feeder insects.
It's live food, isn't it?
It's live food, especially those little white ones or the little clear mites. And then, of course, both of those can be parasitic, but then of course you've got dust mites. You've got your grain mites as well, which are in all of our homes all of the time, all year round.
A common one I've seen a lot of people when they go, oh, I've got mites, and they freak out, and it's the grain mites they're on about.
Yeah. And you can control those just by removing waste on time.
Yes.
So for feeder food, you freeze them or you boil them. You do something to kill the mites on them.
Yep.
And you have to do that. If you're stocking if you've got a species like Harpignathos, you are going to get mites at some point because it's on the feeders. And of course, once you've got them, that's when it gets hard, isn't it? Because you can only solve them by humidity. You have to dry out a colony to kill the mites, but in doing so, you kill the brood. Have you ever known lemon treatments to work?
No, so there's...
Even predatory mites is questionable a lot of the time.
Yeah, so I've had... Lemon never works. Predatory mites, or I say
it's
never.
50-50, isn't it, with predatory?
Problem is I can't say never because you're always going to have somebody where lemons work for them, right? But in our experience, I'd like to say...
We've never had success with lemon.
Predatory mites are up there, but again, it's that takes a while and they have to go through multiple cycles.
Yeah.
So that's not an immediate, that's okay if you've spotted the mites early. And if you haven't, then it's a borderline, is it too late anyway? But it's a case of the predatory mites are going to take a while to kick in because they've got to populate, and then it's the...
Yeah. And I know for a fact one of your own colonies, you found it the most efficient way to do it was to get a microscope and a set of tweezers and individually remove every single mite on every single worker.
It was an extremely painstaking day, but yes.
And the colony survived?
Yes, but that was a combination of predatory mites and then actual...
physical removal of adults.
Yeah, which is difficult and I don't always recommend it, but that did work, yes.
Okay. But yeah, there's one effective way of getting rid of mites is to have zero humidity at all. They don't like dry environments and their eggs die and the workers don't live, the actual mites themselves don't live very long without the humidity source. But in doing that, you have to sacrifice all of the brood of the colony you have. And then a queen recovering from that is very slim. The easiest way is to have the best mite prevention you can, I think.
So, yeah, I think that it's spotting it early for a start, definitely one.
Yeah.
And just having almost a pre-plan of species are prone to it, just having a pre-plan in your brain what you're going to do, what to look out for. But I've found that a lot of the time it's just keeping things clean from the start, isn't it?
Yes.
So don't be lazy because the moment
they're on waste, aren't they?
Yeah. And the grain mite, it's worth, before I say this, there's no direct link between grain mites and parasitic mites. But it's a case of if you've got a load of grain mites, you know that the conditions are going to be right for parasitic mites from the start. So they're almost an indicator. There's no link you're going to get them just because you see grain mites, but that's your oh, hang on a minute, it's a bit too dirty in here at this point. We should probably do something.
Do you think we answered that, Sadie?
Yeah. That was good.
It's a difficult one, mites. It's a really difficult one, and there's no proven methods.
I've never had them personally, so I know it's something everyone would dread.
Oh, yeah.
But I think if I got them, I would be moving out my ants, keeping everything clean,
Yeah.
feeding, removing the food. it's going to be stressful, keep moving the ants, but I think I'm too old. I'm much older than Sam to pick off mites off every single thing, but I think if you got the numbers
He was there
down
a whole
enough,
day with that particular colony.
if you get the numbers
Yeah.
down enough, make it more manageable.
Yeah.
I think the ants help themselves a lot of the time.
I think it's worth mentioning as well, because you said about the drying out, is that this comes down to you know your colonies best as well. So
Yes.
if you're going to go down whichever route you choose, is that might work, it might not, but be observant of it, because it's like anything, is that if you're leaving the predatory mites do their thing, then you're playing with fire that they're going to actually do it. But if you dry them out, you're also like, that's not ideal for the colony either, so you're playing with fire. So just be observant and see what works best for you also, because I don't think there's a definitive one or the other.
No, there isn't. And it depends on the species to what sort of action you would take.
Yeah, which I think is worth noting as well, because if you dry out some species, you're going to have disaster.
Yeah, leaf cutters, that's it. You've lost your whole
Exactly.
colony already.
Predatory
Dry
mites
them
for other may not work. So yeah, it depends, but just be observant, keep them clean, and have a plan of action.
Yeah, we're very strict here on what we allow into the building. We're very lucky. We very rarely get mites that need to go into quarantine on a species. But then we are very strict. I mean, we don't even allow customer colonies in if they've got so much as, what are those little soil, not springtails, but they've got like the soil mite things.
Oh, that's another species.
There's a craze going around with people putting them into their setups. Yeah, we wouldn't even allow a customer to bring a colony first to look after with anything like that in it.
Well, this is why we're strict with our quarantine.
Yes.
So if we're strict with our quarantine, but then we're allowing other things into our building, it doesn't make sense. That's a clash of interests.
I
In
think
what we're
that
trying
the
to
only
do.
exception is our display colonies, aren't they? That if they've got soil, they have springtails.
Yeah, but then that's an isolated unit downstairs. technically anyway,
separate
right?
to the rest of the building.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Do we have any more questions, Sadie?
We've got loads.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Lovely.
What is the biggest ant keeping nightmare you've had? And that's from Anton.
I know one we can both answer,
Yeah.
and it involves glistening leaves across a road.
I was going to say, do we want to go there? Can we go there? Is the question.
Yeah,
because I think that is.
we've
up there.
already been in trouble for it, so we can talk about it.
This is a fair point. So what's this now? A couple years ago? Must have been
2 years ago.
2 years ago. And this was.
You weren't even in work, were you? I called you and was like, get into work
And
now.
This was height of summer, so we were extremely busy and business is booming. And it was either I wasn't in yet, it was my day off or something, or it was on the weekend. There was something in between.
I don't know, but all I know is I drove into work and I could see glistening leaves across the road,
Yeah.
while tens of thousands of leaf cutters were robbing a graveyard of everything alive.
Yeah. And I think I got
And
a
it
rather.
was Sam's fault.
It may have been Sam's fault.
It was Sam's fault because he had cheated and he had put like the whole twigs of
Oh, it was Sam's fault.
privet in. He put twibbit prigs in, and what they'd done is they'd stripped the privet off the twigs, cut the twigs up, and carried them to the side of the outworld, and then they used them to climb out of the display room under the front door and across the road.
Yeah. Right, I remember now fully. That was Sam's fault.
Yeah, it was.
It was late one night and they needed feeding, so I was like, brilliant. Went to collect some leaves.
And you gave them the ladders.
And I gave them the ladders. So it's a case of they're clever, they just chop the little bits off, and instead of feeding smaller amounts, I just put all of it in. And naturally, it did not go very well. And I got a rather fruitful voice message of Rich, whenever that day, whatever it was. And we were like, I need help now. I was like, and when I arrived...
And our only mission was to catch the ones leaving, because if they were out, they were going to come home.
Yeah. And you know it's bad because, again, this sounds like I'm going to go at you, but Rich doesn't ask for help much, right? So it's a case of number one. No.
Why is that having a go at me?
No. Well, no, it sounds
Because I'm stubborn.
Yeah. Okay. So he doesn't ask for help much. So if you know he's asked for help, there's a problem.
If I've used the word help.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't know, but sometimes Rich can be prone to overreacting. So I didn't really know. I could say this, but I didn't quite know what to expect. So you can imagine inside my brain, like,
was I in a good mood or a bad mood?
Yeah, I was like, are there a few ants out and it's just one of those days for you? Or like, you know what I mean? which can happen.
Do you want me to hit him for you?
Yeah, just getting kicked there.
But when I arrived, I was like, yeah, it's not...
You wouldn't believe he's just had a pay rise, would you?
It's not... He wasn't over-exaggerating. It was a sea of green.
Thousands of ants, thousands.
The worst part is that So the escape game, the way it works is that you can book before, right? So it's not just...
There was customers coming in,
so
wasn't there?
you can't just shut an
And
escape
they're like,
game.
what the heck is this?
Yeah. So they'd say, for example, groups are booked like 2-3 weeks in advance, right?
Yeah.
So they're excited, they're ready. We can't cancel those games. And it's when I used to work for the escape room as well. You can't cancel those games. And they went out the front door. So the front door then, I think it's before we had the Ant Antics ant door. So that was the front door.
You're saying to people, watch the ants, and they're just walking and squishing the... Oh.
Well, to be fair,
I've got PTSD.
I would have been out there like a lollipop ladies in the cars. So Carmarthen's lucky it didn't
Yeah.
happen.
To be
when I
fair,
was
We're
in.
trying to catch them. We've got paintbrushes, and we're like paintbrushing the whole floor and then picking them off, and they're attacking us. We're bleeding everywhere.
so I was quite proud that we didn't actually have any casualties, because I remember that I was outside that front door looking like a right weirdo, telling the customers before they came in, and try explaining to, we're all interested in stuff, right? But try telling people to look down as your first interaction with them and going,
Stop where you are.
I'm really
Look at
sorry.
the floor.
I'm really sorry, guys. My pet leafcutter colony's escaped. You can imagine. They think I'm joking. They think it's some like comedy sketch, all the rest of it, and then they just see the green. And as you said, they went around the front of the building, over the road, and they start stripping a graveyard,
I
didn't
can
they?
still see the carnage of the cars going over, the leaves flying in the air.
Yeah. Right. I think that answers that question.
Yeah,
that was up there.
I think we've answered that.
What is a species you would love to see the store sell one day if it hasn't been sold? And if it has, what would you want to see return the most?
So either a species I want to get back the most, or one that I
One
want
that
to stock
hasn't
the most.
sold, or one that you haven't had for ages that you want back?
I think we can all answer this, no, individually. It's like just a preference thing. Because it is individual.
But I love the species that I'm most excited to like stock is those explodens.
Yeah.
There's a huge demand for explodens, and they've never been sold on our store before.
Yeah. And you've said for years you've been excited about
I know
those.
most people are going to be like, yeah, they want the cataglyphis, the silver Saharans and things like that. But for me, that is one hell of a species.
Yeah. I agree with that. And then, right, okay, so that's one.
Okay, I've done one. You do one.
Well, you haven't said what you want to return. So out of stuff we've sold in the past then.
Out of what we've had, I want it to come back.
What did you just... It doesn't have to be expensive, rare. It can just be something you've gone, do you know what? I enjoy having those.
We've got them. Arenarius. They're the ones...
This is true.
That's
Yeah.
my favourite species of all time, and I always make sure we get them back.
Yeah.
Because yeah, they're just sentimental to me. They're just my favourite Nessa. Probably my favourite species.
Yeah. Right.
Sam's turn.
See, ones we want to stock. For me right now is that I'm really after Giga. I think that would be...
So that's the return. We've had them before.
Yeah. And it's a case of what haven't we stocked before?
I know what I want.
Well, I know...
Oh, can I go back and say another one?
Just butt in. Go for it. Go.
Yeah. The blue pollies.
Yes.
Because we had them and we didn't sell them.
No. There's a few Polyracus species from the Philippines which are up there. If I was to choose one, see something that this isn't going to be. Well, they are rare. Don't get me wrong. But bullet ants, we haven't stocked those before, and I'm hoping very shortly we will if everything goes to plan, which it is. And we've got that permit that's gone through, and I'm very excited about it. So yeah, I think that clavata are going to be up there because again, it's that. They're cool, but you see those in person and you appreciate how big they actually are. So yeah, I think that's a fair one. Without boring people with a list of 10, 20 species I think are cool.
Yeah, Sadie.
Sam, help me. What's the ones with the flat heads that like fly down?
Desaton.
Yeah, them.
I don't know if I butchered that pronunciation, but Desaton armours something.
Yeah, they're definitely the ones I would want to see.
But again, that's South America that is doable. So fingers crossed.
We have a permit.
We have a permit.
Yeah, but if
Is that your dream species?
it's one of.
One of.
Yeah, there's a few. Well, I already got the Tetranera. They were one of my top ones.
Do we have anything on the store that we used to sell that you would love to see come back?
It's hard for me because when I want something, I don't wait around. If I want something, I buy it.
This is true.
Because that's what, it drives me crazy when people will hit
Customers don't do that, do
and
they?
I think they'll ask me, "Oh, when are you getting this in stock?" And I think they've literally just sold out. If you get them in, jump on it, because it's so sad when when I've got to say, it
we
might
feel
be
bad
next season
for them
now.
then, yeah.
And we get it all the time. The day it goes out of stock, usually within a few hours, someone's like, when you getting such and such back in stock?
Because it was sitting in their cart.
You've been you've been looking at it for weeks. You should have just bought it. Just don't think about it.
Yeah, just get it. Yeah, that's what, I'll nag you as soon as something comes in. I'm like, what are they going for?
Yeah, because you don't know when your next chance to get them is.
Yeah.
So you make sure you get them. And I think that's the best advice you can give to any ant keeper.
I think this is a fair point, and something I want to say quite quickly is that there's just because we've stocked it once, there's no guarantee that we can stock that in the next month, the next few months, or the next year. And it isn't some sort of sales trick. It is the honest truth of going, do you know what? We've pulled them in now, but there is no guarantee of that. So if you want something, you see it, what you guys have said, it's just best to go for it when they're there.
Yeah, 100%.
Should we do one more? Just one more. The rest we can save for the next one.
What do you do if an inbreeding species escapes? And that's from Lynn. Cry a bit more.
You make sure they don't escape.
I was going to say this is the same principle as the mites, is that you research your species, you know that, if they're an escape-prone species, you make sure that your setup is bomb-proof.
And if they are out, you want to make sure that they are not in a habitable place at all.
Yes.
Like, do you remember when you released a non-native species of cockroach everywhere?
That wasn't me, was it?
Yes, it was, because when I first started working it, and I was putting my coat in a black bag and tying it up to her, I was so scared.
That was an interesting
What we had
one.
to do is put heat mats everywhere. And gel pads, and we had to trap them, and we had to. They were
pull
all
out
under
all the
fridge.
and
It was hell.
anywhere there's a heat source.
Keep an eye on your barriers. Keep an eye on your enclosure, and do not let them escape.
Keep an eye on your Sam.
I was going to say, this podcast should be called like A Day in the Life of Sam, or
Sam's
just like
mess ups.
it should be where it went wrong.
We ain't got long enough for you.
because we've just thrown you under the bus for the twigs, haven't we?
Yeah,
The
twice.
ladders.
I do
That
do
was
some
you,
good, right?
And the cockroaches was you throwing him. I didn't say nothing bad about Sam.
You backed him up though.
Yeah, because it was true.
See, it wasn't a lie.
Sadie does not lie, on a side note.
I didn't throw you under the bus. I just stomped on you while you was under there.
Do you know what? That's fine. But next episode, I want two things that Sam's done well.
Okay.
Right.
So, I think that wraps up our first ever podcast on the Ant Antics channel. And I think it's only fair that we give some shout outs to people we're working with right now. So, naturally, all of our concierge members, let's shout them out. Who are they?
Antimatters Jake.
Antimatters Jake.
PJ Ants.
Yeah.
Adam Ants.
Yeah.
Little Billy.
Yeah.
Oh, there's some more.
Can't forget
They're
Jack.
the ones Jack, yeah.
Yeah. We're putting them on the spot right now. Baker. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, did that girl's nearly, is it Laura? She's coming up for...
She's near, yeah, she won't be long. And Rex. Yes, of course, Rex. Where is Rex?
the newest one, that's why. He's the most recent. So
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you to our concierge members. They are the people in the concierge tier membership. And, of course, everybody has access to the loyalty membership through their online account. So when you get to enough points, you've accrued enough to become concierge, get exclusive discounts, and you also get to trial our products when we launch them. If you want to hear our podcast again and again and repeat it, then you can do that on Spotify. We may also launch this on YouTube, and we'll put links to that in our Discord channel. So if you're not a member of Discord and you want to give us some questions for the show, or even maybe appear on the show as one of our guests, then join our Discord channel. You will need your last order number to verify, and once you've done that, you're in a part of our community as well. So that's a wrap on our first episode of the Ant Antics podcast. Huge thanks to everyone for listening. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to follow us for more episodes. If you've got a question or a myth you want us to bust in a future episode, let us know on our Discord channel. Until next time, happy ant keeping.